What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barça Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past 24 hours. We do have a lot of topics to discuss. Firstly, Hansi Flick's two priorities this summer are the same as Xavi, reinforcing the left wing and reinforcing the pivot position, and also similar to Xavi, Nico Williams and Joao Kimmich are still the #1 priorities in those positions, and Barcelona hopefully in the coming weeks will begin pursuits for both players. Also have some updates on the future of the two Joaos as well, which Hansi Flick will have a big implication on, and right now Barcelona are leaning towards keeping neither of them. We also have some big updates on player sales as well from the loan players, also a big update on Romeu and Roberto's future, and also on the players for Hansi Flick's team that are untouchable. Pedri, Araujo, and De Jong are considered the absolute pillars of the squad, and Hansi Flick does not want to sell them by any means necessary. But maybe he'll sell Raphinha because Saudi Arabia are knocking on the door and have a €100 million offer ready for Barcelona if they can convince Raphinha to leave. But right now Raphinha is not budging whatsoever. We have some updates, of course, on financial fair play and how Barcelona are looking to return to the 1-1 rule in La Liga. And also Hansi Flick has made 2 more additions to his coaching staff over the past 24 hours. 2 very, very big and important additions as well. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get the 200 likes in this video. Be very much appreciated. And also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already. And let's get into it. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past 24 hours. Firstly, we're going to be discussing and providing some updates around the 2 main targets for Barcelona this summer, and that is, of course, the reinforcement of a left winger and a pivot. Now, Alex Pentel from Renewal came out saying the priority of the club is still to sign a pivot and a winger despite the arrival of Hansi Flick. Joao Kimmich and Nico Williams are still the favorites in these 2 positions. Henrico Diaz from Cope came out saying that Hansi Flick has asked Barcelona for a defensive pivot and Joao Kimmich is the preferred option, but he understands the limitations of the club. And also Mundo Deportivo and Goal came out saying that Nico Williams is still a priority for Barcelona in the left wing position. Of course, music to my ears. I think Nico is the #1 priority for Barcelona when Xavi was here. He's the best option on the market that's realistic and feasible for the club, and he fits all the checks in the box to perfection. Speed, good dribbler, can finish in the box, can provide an assist as well. 60 million, young, Spanish, can play on the right if needs be. In his age, of course, as well. It's just pin perfect. With Joao Kimmich is where the differential comes in. Of course, Kimmich is not a pivot. He is not a single pivot. I've been saying it on the channel for about 1.5 years now since the report started last season. If Hansi Flick wants to rock a double pivot of Kimmich and De Jong and try to go through with it, or maybe Kimmich and Gundogan, which he did with the German national team, which was of course unsuccessful, you have to back the manager. If he wants him, the club think he's good enough, they can agree a price. Apparently, Joao Kimmich is asking for a ridiculous salary, even from Barcelona, which I don't think is the case. Hopefully, we actually show some sort of concrete interest and, maybe get some talks starting with him and Bayern Munich. He might lower his demands, of course, knowing our financial situation. But if he's asking for a fat salary, he can F off for all I care. So, again, it comes down to the price with Bayern Munich. I know for a fact Bayern Munich will rinse us for about 50 or 60 million, but if we can get him for around 40. Again, he has 1 year left on his deal. He'll be free next season, so there's no point in spending I wouldn't spend a penny over 40 million if I'm being completely honest. Even if Hansi Flick tells me I can win the treble with you signing Kimmich, that might tempt me a little bit. But it's not feasible for Barcelona whatsoever. He's of course cutting into his late 20s. I believe he turned 29 this year, so I mean he's got he's got maybe 2 or 3 years left, maybe 4 if he really holds his fitness well at the top level. If Hansi Flick wants him, whatever. I'm still not really too keen on Kimmich, but if he wants to rock a different system, different style of play, which we will talk about later on in the video, by all means. You have to back the manager. One of the reasons why Xavi was successful is because every target he asked for, he received the majority of the time. Your Marcos Alonso's, your Koundés, your Raphinhas, your Lewandowski's, your Christensen's, your Gundogan, your Inigo's. These are all players that Xavi specifically requested for. Then you have to continue this with Hansi Flick as well. So wait and see how things turn out and progress, of course. course. First, you're gonna go back to the 1-1 rule in La Liga. We'll see how the transfer funds are looking as well. You can easily get both these two players for, I would say, less than 100 million euros. So you try to get maybe Nico for around 60, maybe try and break some variables with Athletic Club. If you can't, then of course pay it. With Joshua Kimmich as well, maybe you can do it in installments and also have a lower end fixed fee. So again, 100 million for both for me. Happy days. However you want to divide it, 60-40 split, 50-50 split. That's how I would approach the situation. So wait and see how things turn out. It's still very positive to see and to hear that the left wing and the pivot is still priority with Barcelona with the arrival of Hansi Flick. And we'll wait and see how our targets do progress. Now, quickly on the left wing position, there have been more reports apart from Nico Williams. Mundo Deportivo came out saying the sporting area is also following Antonio Nuso, Desiree Dou, and Wesley Gasova as possible low-cost winger options if they cannot afford to pay for a top-quality winger like Nico Williams, who is still a target for them. So again, if we cannot get Nico Williams, we'll go and invest some money into a youngster. Sure, does not bother me. As long as Nico is a priority, we actually go and try to sign him, and maybe we try someone else as well, then fine. Us investing money into the young market right now is not feasible for Barcelona whatsoever. Our team is right now about to enter its prime, and we have to capitalize on it. You have La Masía that's producing very well over the past few years. Trust in that if needs be for now, but I wouldn't invest anywhere more than 20 million euros for any of these three players. I know Doi is very highly rated at the moment, I believe, in Ligue 1 in France. Again, I'd rather trust players in the academy and use that money on a pivot, use that money on fullback reinforcement. Hell, I'd rather use that money on a backup goalkeeper, that German goalkeeper that we were linked with that I talked about in yesterday's video, than spend it on a left winger, because we need to use that money in areas that are useful. Again, we do need a left winger, of course, but we need someone top. Again, we're 2 or 3 holes away from us having a perfect team that all has to do now is go on the pitch and execute and perform. So that's my take on this. But again, we'll wait and see how things turn out in the left wing department. But again, very good to hear that the pivot and left wing is still a priority for Barcelona, especially with the appointment of Hansi Flick. Now, Barcelona did try and patch one of their, priority positions this summer in the pivot by signing Guido Rodriguez. About a month ago, we reached an agreement with him in principle to sign a 2-year contract, pending, of course, financial fair play in June. But apparently, that pre-contract agreement now is officially expired, and his future right now is in doubt. Tony Juan Martí came out saying that in Hansi Flick's favorite formation, the 4-2-3-1, a positional pivot like Guido Rodriguez's profile isn't really needed. Given the situation, Flick needs time to get to know the squad better and understand more what he wants and what he doesn't in terms of potential reinforcements. Guido is attracted by the option of playing for Barcelona and is willing to wait until there's enough FFP to be registered. Barcelona will soon get in touch with the midfielder's agent to inform them of the new reality. Priorities have been redefined, but this does not mean that his signing has been definitely ruled out. Now, of course, we have reached an agreement with Casado to renew his contract, so there's already a pivot on lock. Again, Romeu is leaving, so keep that in mind. So with Romeu, so if you look at our current squad right now, Romeu is leaving. So our only natural pivot, you could say barely, is Casado, because he's the captain of the B team. He's not even a first team member. So first, you want to get into the nitty gritty. In the first team right now, we do not have a pivot. And what do coaches and what do fans and what do clubs always say? You need 2 players per position, especially with the amount of football that's coming up next season, with the 2025 Club World Cup being included. Of course, we're not in it, but we can definitely capitalize with a good squad on those teams that are participating in it. You have, of course, the Euros and Copa America this summer. Players might get injured. They need a longer vacation, so they're going to be arriving even later to the start of La Liga. For a free transfer, I don't mind it. Again, it's very much a situation where if you sign him, cool. If you don't sign him, cool. I'm not really bothered either way. But again, I think he would be a useful addition, especially if you want some experience. And also, I think he can play in a 4-2-3-1. He played a 4-2-3-1 with Argentina in the Copa America back in 2021. He plays in the 4-2-3-1 for about the past 5 seasons in Betis as well. There's always someone beside him, whether it's, Altamira, who else has he signed in recent times? Sergio Canales, he's played in a double pivot this whole entire time in his career, so that argument is a bit redundant, I think, from Tony Juan Marti. But wait and see how things turn out with Guido Rodriguez. We're still waiting, of course, the decision and final verdict from Hansi Flick, whether or not he wants to play or not. That can, of course, have a big implication. But again, the agreement is still there. There's still harmony between both sides. Of course, that pre-contract agreement has expired, but you can just renew that and just say, hey, we're gonna go on the same terms. Yup, sounds good. So there's not gonna be no issues with that. So wait and see what the final decision will be in the result of Guido Rodriguez's future. Now, one area in the midfield that isn't really a priority for Barcelona right now, especially with how well Fermin Lopez has done last season, is of course the attacking midfield position, the 8 you could say, and also midfield that can be playing out on the wings. Of course, one of the main targets that have been rumored with Barcelona a lot in that kind of profile is Bernardo Silva. There is some news. Catalonia Radio have come out saying that Bernardo Silva in his latest contract renewal was able to include a special clause for Barcelona that allows the club to pay his release clause in 3 installments each year, 19 million euros. So funnily enough, it can make activating his release clause even easier than it already was. But again, very unlikely we do go for Bernardo. ESPN have come out saying that there is a growing hope that Bernardo Silva will stay at Manchester City this summer despite being keen to pursue a new challenge. Barcelona are unlikely to have the necessary funds for the transfer. We have the funds, we're just not going to use it on Bernardo Silva. We're not at a point now where we can add, the icing on the cake or the cherry on top of the cake signing. We're not, Man City in 2022 and all they need to do was spend 150 million euros on Erling Haaland, then they won the treble the next season after that. We're not in that position. I think we're probably maybe 1 or 2 summers away from that if everything goes, of course, to plan. Pivot left wing this summer, maybe touch up the fullback position. Next summer, you go for a striker and a goalkeeper, and then you're pretty much having a perfect squad at that point. So by then, maybe you can go for a signing like Bernardo, but definitely not for this summer. So hopefully this stuff does die down once we hit, middle and beginning of the Euros. But again, a transfer from Barcelona in regards to Bernardo Silva this summer is highly, 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 highly unlikely. Now, Bernardo Silva is not the only Portuguese player signed that Barcelona have to worry about. We also have to look, of course, on the future of the 2 Joaos. Now, Alex Pentel of Renewal have come out saying that neither Joao Cancelo nor Joao Felix have convinced this season. Hansi Flick is not clear about either of the 2 players. Another loan is also a possibility for Joao Felix's continuity. Very, very, very interesting here. I mean, again, if you can keep Felix on a cheap deal and you want to just do it for vibes, I mean, it's not gonna, again, with Guido Rodriguez. If we do it, cool. If we don't, whatever. Again, I'm someone who has a lot of stocks invested in Ansu Fati, so hopefully it doesn't happen for my case, but we do keep Felix. He's had a better season than I expected. Of course, you saw my videos last summer. You'll see how much I was against the signing of Joao Felix. So he's done better than I expected, but didn't hit that minimum, which I would say is double digits in both goals and assists. He almost got there in goals, but didn't get there in assists. I think he was about 4 off. With Cancelo, he had a bad, last month and a half, 2 months for sure. But his first 6 months, 7 months were sensational. I mean, he was absolutely revolutionary in the fullback position. We haven't seen a fullback like him that's so natural and, not defending too much, but going forward and being explosive since Dani Alves. Yes, Dani Alves is a better defender and a better fullback. Yeah, I got that. But that first 4 months, Cancelo was coming back, defending relatively well, but going forward and being impactful, helping us outnumber, the opponents in the midfield. He was playing so well. So for me personally, I would keep Cancelo. Again, the fullback market right now is quite dull as well. I think spending 20 million on him shouldn't be an issue. Or if you can squeeze another loan from Man City, by all means as well. But I think, again, you have Ronald Araujo and Joao Cancelo for right back. You're going to have Alejandro Balde and Hector Fort for left back. That, for me, is the fullback situation sorted. You have Koundé as an option at the right-hand side. You can even play Cancelo, of course, on the left. If Roberto stays, you have an option for both sides as well, even though he's absolutely dire, but still an option there. So we'll wait and see, again, how things turn out. But, again, Flick has a lot of decisions to make, so when he comes back from his vacation from Ibiza in about 9-10 days time, hopefully he can make some of these key decisions as soon as possible. Let's now discuss the players that have been rumored to leave Barcelona over the past 24 hours. First up, we do have some reports about the loan players returning. Now, Alex Pentel from Renewal came out saying that from the players on loan, only Eric Garcia and Julian Araujo seem to have options to return. Others like Ansu Fati, Alex Valles, Serginho Dest, Clement Lenglet, and Pablo Torre right now are closer to the exit than staying at Barcelona. Now, few surprises here. Firstly, Eric Garcia having a lot of chances of staying. The reason being, according to reports from Marca, that Hansi Flick will decide between either Eric Garcia or Inigo Martinez to be the 4th/5th choice center back for next season. Interesting selection there, and I would say difficult choice as well. You have Eric Garcia, who's younger, has had a better season, done very well with Girona. I think he was the top goal scorer from defenders in La Liga last season as well. We have Inigo, who's experienced, and again, I'll say this a million times, what gives Inigo the edge is being able to play, of course, with his preferred left foot. Eric Garcia is right-footed, Araujo right-footed, Konde right-footed, Christensen right-footed, so you want to have that different kind of dynamism in your center back department. Difficult choice. I personally, honestly, again, if you choose, very much like the Joaos and Guido, if you choose Eric Garcia, cool. If you choose Inigo, cool. I don't think there's really a clear favorite. I think there's, pros and cons on both sides. For me personally, I would go with Inigo simply on the fact that you can sell Eric Garcia, use that money. That's how I would see it personally. Because if you choose Eric Garcia, Inigo will probably just leave for free, and he won't be registered with Barcelona, so you're not going to get any capital gain with that. With Eric Garcia, again, we signed him for free, so that's all going to be pure profit and pure income for financial fair play. Again, sell a 15-20 million euros from Girona could be a good mean feat for Barcelona. And according to Renewal, Girona are also looking to retain the services of Eric Garcia for the upcoming season. Barcelona are also looking at Alex Garcia, but now seems unlikely as Bayern Leverkusen have moved far ahead of him for the signing of the player. So again, we're going to lose out Alex Garcia, which is no problem with that. But again, Girona very, very keen on keeping Eric Garcia, and with them having that Champions League money now, they definitely have some necessary funds to make some sort of a decent signing. So wait and see on that. That's the first big surprise. And the second big surprise, I would say, is, Ansu Fati close to the exit door. That's just, again, that's pure bias for me. I'll hold my hands up. With Pablo Torre, again, don't mind it. Lenglet, definitely. Des, definitely. Alex Valle, again, I would look to maybe, sell him with a repurchase option, trying to kind of, have a part and retain part of his future. So wait and see how things turn out, but these loan players are going to be a big problem, man. I think, mainly Des and Lenglet. Of course, Des with a freaking torn ACL. We have to find some sort of agreement with PSV. I don't think we can sell Des anywhere else but PSV. Lenglet, it's just becoming a regular routine now. I cannot wait for 2026 when this motherfucker is not here. I don't have to talk about him anymore. I'm sick to death of his problems. Of course, Araujo, we know, was spotted at the Ciudad Deportiva during Hansi Flick's presentation, so we already knew that's confirmed. Of course, Riyad's been sold. I think Estanis will be sold as well to Sampdoria. So Pablo Torre, we spent 20 million on him. I think we can hopefully try and get some money value back for him. Again, maybe look at selling him with a buyback option, percentage of future sales, stuff like that. So a lot of options on the table for Barcelona, but hopefully they can kind of sort out the futures of the loan players and also even the Joaos as well by the end of this month of June. But I see it as highly unlikely because the club are so damn slow. Now, a player's exit that is pretty much almost guaranteed at this point is, of course, the exit of Oriol Romeu. Rarlivo have come out saying that Girona want Oriol Romeu back, and it's highly likely that he will play in the Champions League for them next season. Girona's coach Michel wants him back and has publicly expressed this so, but Girona's board are somewhat annoyed by how Romeu's transfer to Barcelona took place last summer. They don't want to pay for his return and insist negotiations between Girona and Barcelona are expected to be happening in the coming days. God damn! When I saw those reports that I talked about in yesterday's video about Girona paying the same amount that we paid for his release clause last summer, I was so gassed. And I said in the video yesterday, I'll even give him back for half that. And now they don't want to pay. Which, to be honest, that's very smart from Girona. We're desperate to get rid. Romeu wants to leave. They want him. It plays into their hands very, very well. I would really just let him go for free. The issue is that he earns nothing. So even letting him go for free will not really benefit Barcelona. That's why I'm saying, okay, what I would do is I kind of look at a Memphis Depay operation that we did with Atletico Madrid. Maybe sell him and then not have the fees in transfer fees, but in variables. So if Girona get top 5, we get $1 million. If they get out of their group in the Champions League, we get $1 million. If they get to the round of 16 in the Europa League, we get $1 million. Of course, if they get dropped out into third place in the Champions League, then go and beat one round of qualification for Europa League, we get $1 million. They get to the semifinals of the Copa del Rey, $1 million. Stuff like that. I think, that way I wouldn't mind it per se. And again, $1 million is just an example. It can be any fee that the two clubs do agree upon. But any sort of money for Romeu, we're going to end up letting him go for free, aren't we? I mean, we'll wait and see how things turn out. The most important thing is that there's a team that's very, 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 very interested in Romeu, and he's very interested in returning, and Barcelona are very interested in a sale. Now, a player's future that has always been very much concrete in Barcelona 100%, but has kind of opened up over the past month is Raphinha. Of course, initially we heard that Raphinha was never leaving. He was going to stay at Barcelona no matter what this summer. Then we heard that, okay, he'll leave only if a big, huge offer comes in from the Premier League, both wages and a fixed fee for Barcelona. We're still hearing the same thing, but now Saudi Arabia have come knocking on the door yet again. Roberto of Mundo Deportivo is reporting that one of the most powerful Saudi Arabian clubs could be willing to make a minimum of 100 million euro offer to Barcelona for Raphinha and double the player's current salary. However, Raphinha and his family are very comfortable at Barcelona. He has already rejected the first offer, and it will not be easy to convince him to move to Saudi Arabia no matter how much money they offer him. He would only consider leaving Barcelona if it was for a top Premier League club and for top offer money-wise as well. In any case, Raphinha will first want to know what the opinion of Hansi Flick has on him as part of the first team squad, which again is smart. Again, the issue with Raphinha, he's got no agent. So if he's talking to Flick, he's talking to Barcelona, he's negotiating a move with Saudi Arabia, it's all through him. It is all through the player himself. He will not have an agent in his ear whispering, hey, you can make a lot of money, this will be good for your family and all this stuff. No influence. It'll be just straight on him. He might ask maybe for his father's advice, stuff like that. But it's all going to be on him, which will have massive, massive implications on how this, kind of proceeds. So again, we'll wait and see how things turn out. In terms of the offer, I mean, again, anything over 80 million, I would take for Raphinha, and if minimum 100 million fixed fee, bloody hell, I'll drive him to Saudi Arabia myself. I will fly to Barcelona and I'll drive him over for 100 million. But we'll wait and see how things turn out. Of course, Flick's opinion on him could have a bit of an effect because he doesn't trust him. He might have to look elsewhere, but I think we're looking at most likely Raphinha staying unless a Newcastle, a Chelsea, an Arsenal, a United, a Liverpool come bidding around 70, 80 million for the Brazilian winger. Now, in regards to players staying at Barcelona, it's becoming more and more clear who the core players and the pillars of the first team will be for Hansi Flick. Now, Sport have come out saying that Hansi Flick has asked Barcelona not to sell Araujo. He considers Araujo a key player for his team as he needs fast defenders. In fact, Hansi Flick has asked Barcelona that even if they have to make a big defender sale, it cannot be Araujo. So he'd rather sell Koundé, Christensen, Inigo, Cancelo, Balde, whoever it may be, over Araujo. I would like to throw in there, by the way, that Koundé is very fast. I do, of course, have stocks in Koundé. Elite defender, and also rapid as well. He will thrive. We might finally see this bloody Araujo and Koundé partnership that we've been hyping up now for about 2 years. So hopefully that will be the case. Now, Mateo Rito has come out saying that Araujo will speak to Hansi Flick soon in the coming days. Maybe figure out, because again, he's in a contract dilemma as things currently stand. But Hansi Flick has made it very clear that he wants to keep Araujo as part of his first team, alongside other players as well. Koundé from Cope came out saying that Hansi Flick sees Araujo, Frenkie de Jong, and Pedri as the 3 pillars of his team. Of course, there were some reports as well about Gavi being included in those pillar top players for Barcelona, and even, of course, Robert Lewandowski as well. There's also added that Lewandowski is going to be key for Hansi Flick, not only in the team, but also outside the team in terms of translation, communication, integration, all that sort of stuff. And even, of course, Gundogan. There have been reports about, Galatasaray maybe making a move for him. Of course, Gundogan has a Turkish background. They're the biggest club in Turkey, Galatasaray. The president, I think, of Galatasaray even came out 2 days ago saying that his dream signing is Gundogan. He's going to try and do it this summer. But Roberto came out saying that while Galatasaray dreams of Gundogan, the German right now is not thinking about leaving Barcelona whatsoever, especially with Flick coming in. Absolutely no chance. However, if an offer comes in, you never know. I would sell Gundogan for about 40 or 50 million. Now, you're probably wondering, Barca boy, he has 1 year left in this deal, 40, 50 million. What are you absolutely smoking? He's on big wages as well, so getting rid of those wages would be nice, but he's so integral to his team as well. I mean, he was the best player for Barcelona in his first season, last season, so maybe 30 million with variables. But yeah, I think a sale for Gundo is very, very unlikely. But again, the core players for Barcelona shaping up. There's, of course, been a lot of reports about Ter Stegen being involved as well. But you have to go back to the original report from Nico Williams saying that Araujo, Pedri, and Frenkie are going to be the 3 key main players for Hansi Flick in his core of his squad. Now, a player's future that also had a big factor in the result of Xavi's sacking is, of course, the future of Vitor Roque. In yesterday's video, I told you guys that Vitor Roque now is open to going out on loan and open to, listening to Barcelona, what they have to say for his future. And also now Andre Curi, his agent, the very famous agent who spoke with Radio Marca 2 nights ago, and he gave some clarity on Vitor Roque's situation. He came out saying that Vitor Roque was waiting for more minutes with Xavi. Now with a new coach, he starts from scratch. He has a world-class player like Lewandowski in front of him. Vinicius, for example, it took him 2 years to develop. He keeps bringing in this Vinicius comparison, but to be honest, it is a good one. And he also came out with this big news. It is not true that Xavi wanted the player, Vitor Roque, by December. He wanted him in the summer, in July, but they didn't let him come. I insist, Xavi called Vitor Roque personally numerous amount of times to confirm his, confidence and his interest and his belief in the player. It's just clarity, just more and more clarity on how Xavi dealt with the situation. It can just show now that it was not blown out of proportion. He wanted the player. He wanted him to come in December. He wanted him to come in July. He came in, didn't really adapt too well, and Xavi thought maybe the best thing for him was to maybe go out on loan for 1 season, play, week in, week out, then come back and be a better player. That was Xavi's opinion, but Xavi not believing in the player and the club wasting, 30 million on signing him is all BS. It was all BS. It was all media just spitting on one negative on the shit season, and they ran with it. And as I've been saying on this channel the whole time, looks like yet again your boy is correct. So we'll wait and see how things turn out with Vitor Roque's future. We'll see if he's on that plane to America, which probably he will be, and whether he impresses or not remains to be seen. And again, right now the striker market ain't really looking too great, so might be a Lewandowski Roque Wombo combo going into next season. Let's now discuss some contract renewal updates around the first team at Barcelona. Just one update. It's not just around the first team, it's around the captain of the first team in Sergi Roberto. Some big implications on his renewal recently. Firstly, Renewal came out saying that Barcelona cannot guarantee Sergi Roberto a place in next season's squad as the FFP situation is still unclear and his registration is not a priority. The player's future is up in the air and will depend on him now. He could either wait for the club to tell him the FFP margin as his first option is to continue at Barcelona, but his agent has already begun to move in case plan A does fail. Hansi Flick has nothing to do with this decision, and you have to keep that in mind. Laporta wants to keep wants to keep Roberto. Deco wants to keep Roberto. Everyone's already agreed on a contract, and everyone wants to continue. It's just now down to the registration aspect. Now, Gabriel Sanz from Deportivo came out saying that Sergi Roberto is surprised by the slowdown of his renewal. Also, Renewal came out saying the registration of Gavi, Alejandro Balde, Inigo Martinez, and even Vitor Roque are bigger priorities than Sergi Roberto. Of course, that's just logical and that makes sense. Can I be honest with you guys? I think this is all BS. I think this is all smoke screen. I think this is all random news just to generate clicks and interest. You're telling me that Football Club Barcelona cannot register Sergi Roberto's peanut salary? This man has a Barça Athletic salary. I've heard that he's earning around like 20-30k a week. Of course, a lot of it's going to be in bonuses if he plays well, if he plays a certain amount of games and stuff like that. This man's earning absolute peanuts. And you're telling me we can't register him? As soon as that Nike deal kicks in, sell Barca Vision. Here you go, Barca boy seeing in the future 5 years. Ready? 5 weeks. Ready? Oh, breaking news. Barcelona agreed deal with Nike. 100 million coming in. FFP not going to be a problem. More breaking news. FFP salary margin released from La Liga. Barcelona's wages go up to 530 million. Breaking news. Barcelona have space for salary margin. Roberto will stay. You can already see the trend. That's why I'm not really, I'm not even, again, with Roberto, like I've been saying a lot in this video, we keep him cool if we don't keep him cool as well. But there have been reports coming in from Catalonia Radio saying that Deco will include a clause in the renewal of players like Sergi Roberto. The clause is that if they cannot register him before August 12th, which of course I believe is the weekend before La Liga starts, they can cancel the renewal, due to which there's uncertainty whether or not Roberto will renew. Apparently Roberto is not too happy with this clause. Again, from the player's perspective, this makes sense. You renew, you stay, last second, hey, we can't register you. Adios, amigo. Then you're stuck there, jobless, clubless, with nothing. Looks bad on the player, but from the sporting center point of view, it's a good move. Again, we've done this a lot with players. Look, we did this with Kessié. We did this with Christensen. We did this with Gundogan. We did this with Inigo. And were any of them close to leaving and being unregistered? No. So we could this clause just to cover the ass of Barcelona for being completely, worst case scenario. Because again, at the end of the day, they don't want to pay Roberto and not being able to use him as part of the squad. So not surprised by this whatsoever. And I think, to be honest, Roberto's gonna stay. If there is I see it as like 95% Roberto stays. That 5% is just because of maybe Hansi Flick is really against him staying, and by somehow, some way, we have no registration space for his peanut salary. That's just an embarrassment in itself. And talk about summer signings. I don't think Barcelona could afford me if we can't register Sergio Roberto. So we'll wait and see how things turn out. But again, no room right now for Roberto's renewal. But again, that will come more of a clarity once FFP situation becomes more clear. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past 24 hours. First, we do have an update on the financial side of Barcelona, and the former vice president of economics, Oriol Romeu, has been speaking to the media and giving some updates around Barcelona, even though he's not involved anymore. So take this with his knowledge being from 2 months ago. But again, he was running everything from the economic point of view. He came out saying that we have a stable club and are no longer losing money, but are starting to make profits. Way! Get it. We must continue to be financially straightened without interfering with making investments. We still have high debts. We should be reach stability by 2026 when the club has operating profits of 300 million euros and debts of 700 million euros. The first thing to do is to reduce the debt and make it compatible with staying competitive. I believe the club is in the right direction. Let's go. Get it. I mean, yeah, basically just saying that we're on the right track pretty much. By 2026, stadium's going to be done, and Barcelona hopefully will be somewhat healthy where we don't have to, sit here and talk about registration news. I mean, I never see any club outside of Spain talk about this. It's just us. Now on registration news, we've got some. Mark have come out saying that the 4 players who are currently not fully registered yet are Gavi, Balde, Roque, Inigo Martinez. The first 2 non-negotiable. They will be registered again with Vitor Roque and Inigo. We'll wait and see. Their futures are uncertain and will depend on their performances in pre-season. And also again, Roberto is not registered anymore either. Same with Alonso and Romeu, but they're of course hopefully both gonna get shipped off. So we'll wait and see how things turn out in that regard. Javier Tebas, La Liga president, has given us an update on Barcelona's situation with FFP, and he said that if Barcelona succeed in closing certain things, Nike deal, Barca vision, they will be back in the 1-1 rule. They have time to reach the situation, but they must succeed in these things. Sky is blue. Grass is green. I mean, I've been saying this now for damn 2-3 months. I'm a freaking broken record. There have been reports, I have some sources as well that have told me that from now until the end of June, the Nike deal can be announced at any given moment. I think, again, Barcelona want to announce it officially when they release the new home kit, which is going to be around June the 20th, so about 10 days before the deadline. So talk about last second. I mean, this is just what Barcelona does. At least they get it done in the end and just keep the suspension building, which is just really annoying. But again, the Nike deal is already done. It's just now figuring out the Barca vision side of it. And again, the Nike deal is already enough for us to return to the 1-1 rule. But the Barca vision on top of that, that's the icing on the cake that we're talking about earlier with Bernardo Silva. That would be sensational. So we get that done over the line as well. Some other quick updates as well. Firstly, on Espai Barça, the Spanish Federation has come to visit the model and speak with Barcelona about possibly being a host stadium for the 2030 World Cup. So hopefully that will be the case. Again, the stadium should be done by 2026. God forbid, hopefully before 2027. Of course, the World Cup being in 2030. I expect Barcelona to host a Champions League final as well, whether it be in 2028, 2029, or even 2030. This always happens when the new stadium comes in. Like, we've seen that with the Atletico Madrid stadium as well. I expect the Bernabeu as well to be a host for the Champions League final, maybe in the next 2 or 3 years as well. So you got a lot of big stadiums in Spain now. They'll definitely have some implications in regards to hosting certain big events as well. Maybe not even just the World Cup or the Champions League, but other sports outside of football as well. By the way, the head of the supervision of the federation is actually Vincent Del Bosque, who is the former, of course, Spain coach and coached the white twats in the capital. Now, finally, we have an update on the Negreira case. Mundo Deportivo have come out saying that Joao Laporta and all his Barcelona board members from 2003 to 2011 who were charged with bribery have now been declared officially innocent against any criminal activity in the Negreira case. Of course, you will not see this in the mainstream media, but your boy, Barca Boy, is here to provide you with the details. Again, the Negreira case is slowly but surely dying down. It's been about, what now? A year and 2 months since this whole entire Negreira fiasco has come out, and now everything is just becoming slowly but surely dead in the water. Next season, when we are successful, they will bring it back. Do not question it whatsoever, but just remember this stuff. Remember this stuff where it's already been proven that there's no Negreira case. Did we pay referees to do certain reports? Yes. Did we pay them to make any decision on the pitch whatsoever? No. And there were other clubs as well that paid those referees for those referee reports that you can see right there in the picture that Joao Laporta there is holding, and they don't have any consequences whatsoever. So I mean, it's all crap. So again, hopefully the Guerrero case will die down slowly but surely by the end of this year, as Barcelona yet again being proven to be innocent. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss before I end off this video is in regards to Hansi Flick's plan for the Barcelona squad, how he wants to set up with his current plan in regards to players being important, even maybe some assistant integration as well. Let's get into it. There is quite a bit. Firstly, Hanina Kodes from Cope came out saying that Hansi Flick sees a lot of potential to compete with the team he has already at Barcelona. Additionally, the coach has already studied the players as well as those at La Masía for months now. This, again, worries me a lot, because why was Xavi sacked? Because he did not believe the squad was fully good enough to compete on all fronts next season. He wanted a few changes, but Hansi Flick sees the squad as perfect, and that's one of the big reasons why Laporta did sack Xavi. So not really encouraging reports in my regards. I'd rather him see the players perform and then maybe have this come out in a few months, not before the job, and also in the report saying that he was thinking about this now for a few months as well. But we'll wait and see how things turn out. Now, Ferran Martinez from Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Hansi Flick feels satisfied with the current Barcelona squad, which can obviously be improved. He plans to use a 4-2-3-1 formation, which can mutate into a 4-3-3. Alright, he sees Pedri as his advanced midfielder behind Lewandowski. Firmino is not forgotten either for his great eye for goal. For the other two midfielder position, he has Gundogan and several alternatives. He sees Gundogan as one of the pivots plus another, Pedri in the 10, Lewandowski up front. I mean, I could have bloody predicted that, but you know, it is what it is. Roberto from Deportivo also came out saying that Hansi Flick puts a lot of emphasis on physical preparation to put his game of high pressure, recovering offensive wing play into play. It's one of the players of his team. In fact, Barcelona also detected a deficiency in physical preparation, and that's one of the reasons why they brought in Hansi Flick. Well, thank God for that. Now, in regards to this physical preparation, Barcelona have been rumored to be adding 2 assistants to Hansi Flick's already coaching staff. You have the Tony guy, you have the goalkeeper coach, you have Marcus as well, Marcus Sorg, I believe his name is, but 2 more are being added. The first one we already knew about from before, and that is Julio Dos, who again was supposed to be rumored to be joining the physical side of Barcelona when Xavi just got back into the job after, announcing that he was staying. And Raphinha also confirms as well that he'll be the physical trainer provided to Hansi Flick by the club. So this would be Barcelona giving him someone, not him, per se bringing someone in. But again, he's very highly regarded. He worked a lot with Juventus and other clubs as well. So hopefully he'll have somewhat of an effect. But Hansi Flick himself is bringing someone in, and that is Heiko Westerman. Now, I remember him playing for him being, an Ajax player during the time of De Jong, but now all of a sudden he's right now an assistant coach for the Germany's under-19 squad, and Barcelona are looking to bring him in. Hansi Flick wants him as well, and there are negotiations right now to bring him to the club. First, Roberto broke the news saying that Westerman will be part of Hansi Flick's staff at Barcelona during Marcus Sorg and Tony Tapalovic. There are 3 important reasons for Westerman's selection. Firstly, his command of the Spanish language. Secondly, his time in La Liga with Real Betis. And thirdly, him working with Hansi Flick in the lower categories of the German Federation. So when Hansi Flick was working up in the German national team, he worked with Westerman. He can speak fluent Spanish. That is absolutely huge. Tony Juan Martí also confirmed this as well, saying that Westerman's fluent knowledge of Spanish language has been key for him to join Hansi Flick's staff at Barcelona. In addition to helping with the coach in multiple issues, such as controlling young players, Westerman will unofficially play as a role of a translator. Flick is learning Spanish, but in his first few weeks, the translation that Westerman can do with the players will be very helpful to convey the coach's idea more and better. This is absolutely brilliant and what we needed. Of course, we talked about maybe former players coming back like Thiago, Marc Bartra, Rakitic, and Javi Martinez, but it looks like it will be Westerman coming in as an addition, knowledge, but also the Spanish language that will be big. Now that hopefully that will not have any complications in regards to translating thoughts and ideas to the players. This is absolutely huge. So 2 excellent additions there, and hopefully they can again be done and coming in by the time preseason kicks about. And finally, some news in regards to individual players. Firstly, on Pedri, Ferran Martinez from Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Hansi Flick sees Pedri as his most creative player, whom he prefers to use as the most advanced midfielder at the tip of the midfield triangle behind the striker to be able to make use of the great final pass and arrival in the area so that he can have more of a prominence in the final third and also improve his scoring record. Again, Pedri is always playing as an advanced midfielder per se, but since, you know, Barcelona have been very conservative this season, he's had to drop back a lot. Still scored a lot of goals this season, especially playing in those deeper positions, but hopefully playing a definite, you know, permanent, more advanced position that can be more prominent for him. And also, the most funny report I've seen in my life on Alejandro Balde, Fernando Polo from Deportivo came out saying that Hansi Flick has very good references of Alejandro Balde and hopes that he can do what Alphonso Davies did for him at Bayern Munich. Balde will be back in preseason, and he knows that Hansi Flick's game suits him perfectly to his quality, and he's very motivated. Of course, that's very good from Alejandro Balde's point of view, but after being injured for about 4 or 5 months, you better be freaking motivated. I mean, I could have made this up. This one, and then when Roberto said, oh, 4-2-3-1 that could mold into a 4-3-3. Listen, the reason why I'm saying these reports is because Barcelona lead like a sieve. I have no doubt that people in the club are telling these to the journalists, but the people in the club that are kind of portraying this, they just look like absolute morons. But again, we'll wait and see how things turn out. But looks like, again, they're trying to really build excitement, build hype up around Hansi Flick, and we'll wait and see how preseason looks. That's going to be the most exciting part, and seeing how Hansi Flick deploys the team and how players look and perform during that period as well. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past 24 hours. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and of course leave me your thoughts down below in the comments on everything we discussed. The main thing I want to see, of course, your thoughts on Nico Williams and Joao Kimmich still being the two main priorities for Barcelona this summer. Secondly, your thoughts on the Joaos. Would you keep both, keep one, or keep neither? Thirdly, your thoughts on Hansi Flick having Pedri, Araujo, and De Jong as pillars and untouchable players for his team. And finally, your thoughts on Saudi Arabia coming knocking on the door of Raphinha. Would you sell Raphinha or not this summer, and if so, for how much? And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barça.